Hello, welcome everyone. It is Dave here, and the next video is 7 signs that your energy body is about to wake up. These signs are all precursors for laying the stage for your energy body and having those sensations of energy flow throughout your system, down your meridians, and up and down your spine. So these are things that happen sort of earlier on in my practice and what I was experiencing, and this is just what they are and why I think they're happening. So, first one, hot and cold sensations. This can be anywhere on your body. It usually happens in isolated areas in your body, usually not really your entire body. It can be, but most of the time it's just certain patches or areas, usually your lower abdominal area or in your root chakra area, your perineum, or maybe your spine. You just start to feel a lot of warmth, and it can be a static warmth or it can be a moving warmth. And what this is when it's hot or warm sensations, it's a lot of friction being generated. When the energy starts to condense and solidify, when it moves against the edge of an energy channel, there is rubbing and there is friction. And so this friction does generate heat. The energy itself can be warm, but I think a lot of the times it's just channels are not open. And so you get this heat like sensation that builds up as it slowly starts to open up the channels. You can also feel cold sensations also in the same areas, but anywhere on your body. Patches of cold come or a line of cold will appear, and it just happens on its own and you just notice it. But what I've come to understand about that is energetic pathogens being cleared from your system. I can't verify that, but that's just what I've heard and what I've read. So you may feel that as a precursor to your energy body waking up. So that's the first one, hot and cold. Twitches, very, very common early sign that your energy body is waking up. You might feel twitches in your chest or in your biceps or triceps or in your glutes. A lot of the times it's glutes and hamstrings and quadriceps, and they will just come and go on their own. It can be kind of unnerving because they can be really, really strong, and they can be frequent and they can last a while. And that's the thing. What I think is happening here is that the energy channel is just, if it's like this, when it's clear and healthy, it's really, really tiny. There's just like a tiny, tiny opening, or a part of it that's just, the gap is so narrow. Your body has to, or so your energy system has to send a lot of energy there to kind of burst through it. And when that happens, you just get these ripple effects and these twitches and the jittering of the muscles that happens. And I always found that that would last for a couple of months. There's nothing wrong with you. Again, it can be unnerving. Um, your mind always goes to, oh my goodness, I might have like some, neuromuscular disease or something like that. But if you're into the energy arts and internal alchemy, this is pretty common. And so I always found that this happened previous to then later on having a firm straight line of energy running down that channel. So if I would have sort of my bicep would start fluttering and twitching on its own, within a couple of months of that happening, there was always then a straight line traveling down one of the meridians of my arm. So that was always a precursor. And I think that was just really, really narrow channels that had to be opened up with lots of energy. Okay, number 3, emotional upheaval, mood swings, or polarizing between really, really low states and really, really high states. This was probably the first thing that happened to me earlier on in my awakening process, and I didn't really know that it was related to that at all, and I had no coping skills. I had no method or means of dealing with emotions. So it's really, really handy to have something like meditation or mindfulness or even just someone to talk to, but some way of, and having some tools in your toolbox to be able to cope with that, because this is quite common when the energy sensations, they can be moving really, really, really slowly, especially as it goes up your spine, because there's a lot of density there and there's a lot of trapped emotions, especially within the spinal cord. When that energy moves, you may not feel it because it only moves like a millimeter or two, like a 16th of an inch, I guess, if you're an imperial, and it will only move that much over the course of a week or two. So it's moving so slowly, you wouldn't notice it. But when it, excuse me, when that energy moves that slowly and it gets stuck on a spot where there is trapped emotions, those emotions have to be expressed and experienced and then let go of for the energy to further continue moving on and opening up the channels. And if that doesn't happen, if you get stuck and you're attached or you identify with your emotions, then that actually just reinforces the block. And this is why forgiveness is such an important thing in your practice, because that really helps remove those energetic blockages and allows the energy to flow. And so lots of emotional upheaval can be very, very positive or very, very negative and polarizing between the two. It does and is something that settles down over a period of time. But I found, at least in my situation, that was one of the very first things that happened as a sort of a launching point into more and more energy flowing up and down, up my spine and up my torso and down my arms and all that. So watch out for that. Along with that, this is number 4, is really, really intense goosebump sensations. I think everybody kind of knows what goosebumps are. The hair stands up and down on your arms and you get all these, the little dots and the points that raise on your skin. Those also go back to what I just said, and they're usually associated with extremely, excuse me, high emotional states. So when you're polarizing back and forth, you may go through some states where you're just really, really like sort of blissed out, or you hear a song, or you see something on TV, or just random events happen, or for no reason at all, it just happens, where you get really, really high, and accompanying that is just like goosebumps, but it's not the regular goosebumps. It's like waves of it happen through your entire body, up your entire back and torso, down your arms, down your legs, and then it'll happen like 4 or 5 waves in a row. It'll just come and it'll just come, and it just sometimes gets overwhelming to the point where your emotions you just get so blissed out, you can sort of lose yourself in it. So try not to hold on to that. I don't know why that happens, but it just happens. It's part of the process, but just try not to hold on to that. Try not to get back to there. Just let it come. Enjoy it while it's there, but then once it's gone, let it go and then continue on. Because if you get stuck on trying to make that happen as a sensation and as an emotional state, you can't have that happen without having the corresponding opposite and the negative emotion. So the more you try and polarize into positive emotional states, the more you will swing back into the negative. And we do want that polarization to decrease over the time and coming back to the middle. So just let that go, let it be, let it do its own thing, and then don't hold on to it. The next one, number 5, unexplained tightness in your muscles. If you have a stretching practice, or if you have decent amount of body awareness, this happens when your energy is trying to push through really, really dense, tight physical tissue. So you may have an injury in the tissue in your muscle, or it just might be from bad posture or sitting. And for me, a lot, it was in my hamstrings and my inner thighs, where the energy would just really slowly push through. But as it did that, the muscle would just like knot up and get really, really tight. And no matter how much I would stretch it, it would help, but it would always come back. And now this could usually last for, usually a couple of days to a week at the most. It was never long periods of time, but it's just something to be aware of, that when your energy body starts to awaken, you can get a lot of tightness and contraction in the muscles. This is why, excuse me, stretching practices are so important. Yoga, massage, things that help loosen the tissues in the body. Okay, number 6, vibrations and buzzing. So I don't know why this one happens, it just does, but you can just be sitting there for no apparent reason. A part of your body will just start vibrating, and it'll start vibrating, and you'll just kind of look and go, oh my God, what's going on there? And it just happens, and it buzzes, and it does its thing, and then it goes away. It just happens. I don't know why, but that was also a precursor to having the energy flow a little bit more, something that I felt in the early stages. Okay, the last one, number 7, the 7th sign, of course, for me was cracking joints. Joints crack and pop a lot. And it can be anywhere on your body and not just particular to the spine, but there is a lot of tension and emotional storage within your joints. So when the energy goes to the joints and tries to move through the joints, this is the first thing. I think they're like mini emotional releases. You'll feel pressure build up in the joint. You may not feel the energy move there, but you'll feel a pressure building up in your shoulder or your elbow or your knee, and you'll just feel like you have to move in a way to release that pressure, and then the joint will pop or crack on its own. It resets, and then you're fine. It's nothing to worry about, but they're like mini emotional releases, number 1. And number 2, your physical structure has to fall in line with your energetic structure. Your energetic structure governs the posture and the position of your physical body. And as these energy channels open up and get stronger, your physical structure has to adjust to match. And if it doesn't, then the energy is going to keep adjusting and popping and cracking and loosening the joints over and over again until they become loose enough for the energy to freely flow by, so then that your physical structure can match the energetic energetic anatomy. And so this is again why stretching, yoga, and just really good posture all around is so important, and having the energy flow uninhibited and unimpeded through your energy channels. So they do go away over time, but as a whole, I would say for me, this has been something that's been going on for maybe 12 years now, and it still really hasn't stopped. But where the joints have been popping and cracking because of where the energy's going has shifted. In the beginning, it was all in my sacrum, low back area, and then that actually lasted for a few years, like 3 or 4 years, and then another 3 years it was higher up in sort of middle back, and now the next phase is all in the back of the neck and just upper thoracic spine. It just keeps happening over and over again because that's where the energy keeps going, and it keeps releasing, and it keeps loosening up the joints so it can move further up. You might even get really, really tiny ones on the top of your head where all your cranial plates meet. They're small adjustments, but you can feel them for sure, little tiny pops and cracks up here. But that's it. So the 7 signs that your energy body is about to wake up. If you are having any of these and you want to chat or ask about them or talk about them, or you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, that's it. And thank you very much for watching, and much love to everyone. Take care.